Welcome back to the Koyos Tribe. I'm going to be doing a reaction to Yuri Bezmenov, who is a KGB defector and did a interview in 1984. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not. So we're going to go ahead and let that play, and then we'll talk about it after.
Don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism, Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world, that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kinds of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfilled or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades.
Okay, so if any of you know, on this channel, I speak about feminism, I speak about men's suicide, I speak about masculinity, the attack on masculinity, and any situation or things that have to do with masculinity in the United States and in the West. So if you have watched this before about Yuri, he speaks about demoralization and all of the things that are supposed to take place and that the KGB uses as tools to take down their enemies or other countries. So while I don't think that Russia has their hand in this in the first place, you know, directly into the pot, I do think that what he says in there where he's talking about Marxism and Leninism is definitely being used in the West. And when I say West, I mean Europe, Ireland, Sweden, all of these different places that are having issues, and also here in the United States. So what he says about Marxism and Leninism and that being used to take down a country is absolutely 100% spot on. He's also talking about soft heads in places like colleges and things like that being told that Marxism is a good thing and Leninism is a good thing, and they are being molded to be the new revolutionaries. I had to keep reminding myself during listening to this that this is him talking in 1984, yet everything that he says is everything that's happening now. Now, when he was talking about the demoralization, he said 15 to 20 years. So we're past the demoralization part, right? And now we're headed into probably stage 3, where we're waiting on a crisis to happen. Once that crisis happens, people are going to look to the government for help, and then we are going to be at their mercy. So I think that that's where we're headed. I think that we're very close to that happening here in the United States. I hope you all stay tuned, and I hope you like what I'm doing here. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more likes you do and the more you share and the more you hit that subscribe button, you will get my videos, and it also helps get me into the algorithm and help my videos to get pushed out there. So please do not forget to hit like. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about Yuri. This interview has been around for a pretty long time. I've always gone back to it just to refresh my memory and look at how things are matching up with what he said. There are other interviews out there that kind of talk about the same thing, and they all seem to be matching up. Even his time frame that he's talking about, 15 to 20 years, matches up with what's going on now. So we are coming to a collapse of the United States, which would be huge. Probably one of the biggest collapses we've ever seen in the history of the world. So again, I hope you like this, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.